Today, October 27, 2020 meeting of the Citizen Review Board is now called to order. If you will, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, you can please conduct the roll call.
Banks.
Here.
Collins.
Present.
Simmons. Tamayo.
Here.
Reyes.
Present.
Guy. Akil.
Present.
Blair.
Present.
Ngandala.
Here. Let the record show all members of the Citizen Review Board is present with the exception of our Vice Chair, Ms. Guy, and also Board Member Ms. Simmons. At this time, with the absence of our Vice Chair, I'm going to allow Mr. Tamayo to continue with the meeting guidelines. If you will, Mr. Tamayo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please silence all electronic devices. The duties and responsibilities of the Citizens Review Board are to 1, review completed department investigations involving use of force and cases of importance and interest to the community or the city. 2, to determine whether the disposition of reviewed cases was consistent with department policies and procedures. 3, to review matters of importance or interest and make recommendations regarding the handling of these matters. 4, to determine whether any revisions or additions to department policy and procedures are appropriate in reviewing matters of or importance of interest. And 5, report findings and recommendations to the mayor and chief of police. Cases that are brought before the Citizens Review Board are closed internal affairs cases that have been investigated and brought to the police chief for disposition. It is the Citizen Review Board's job to review the cases and render an opinion as to whether the investigation was done according to department policies and procedures. The Citizens Review Board members are provided the investigative files in advance of the meeting. The Citizens Review Board will hear from the department whenever matters of interest or importance are requested for review by the board or the department. As will be further discussed by the chair, members of the public will have an opportunity to address the Citizens Review Board during the public comment portion of the meeting. The coordinator for the board is Captain Kevin Schoolmeesters. Any person who wishes to make a complaint concerning a matter which may be considered by the Professional Standards Bureau should see Captain Schoolmeesters for information on how to file a complaint. The chair is responsible for maintaining an appropriate, business-like decorum during the meeting. The board should not discuss matters where the city or the department may likely be a party in litigation. The public comment portion of the meeting is coming up early on the agenda. So if you wish to speak, please line up at the kiosk now so you can be called in order. Please maintain social distancing and wear your mask.
Thank you, Mr. Tamayo. Due to COVID, meetings at the old City Hall were suspended due to the room size. This meeting is being conducted at the Tampa Convention Center, 333 South Franklin Street, in order to allow appropriate social distancing between the members of the board and to allow the public to view the meeting by live stream within the Tampa Convention Center while maintaining social distancing. The chair is suspending the requirement the meeting be held at Old City Hall due to the current health epidemic and state of emergency. This meeting has been noticed by posting on the Tampa Police Department website, posting at Old City Hall, and on the city electronic calendar. Due to COVID-19 state of emergency, this meeting is being conducted live with an in-person quorum present. with the option of participation in person using on-site technology to provide live feed comments, voicemail, or mail. The public and citizens of the City of Tampa will be able to watch, listen, or view this meeting by cable TV, Spectrum Channel 640, Frontier Channel 15. Also, via internet, www.tampagov.net/live stream. And also in person here at the Tampa Convention Center. Please note, use of masks and social distance inside the Tampa Convention Center building are required. Now, all written or voicemail comments must be received no later than 24 hours prior to the meeting in order to be made part of the official record of this meeting. Written comments may not exceed 400 words, and live and voicemail comments may not exceed 3 minutes in length. Recorded and live public comment will be heard at the start of the meeting. Voicemail comments will be played during the public comment portion of the agenda, and also will be made permanent record as well. Written comments will be distributed to the board and will also be included in the permanent record of the meeting as well. All public comments timely received will be afforded equal consideration as if the public comments were made in person. Tonight, we will be discussing the prior agenda set in June, as well as additional topics added onto the agenda at the request of the board and board members. We first need an approval of the minutes from the June 23rd, 2020 meeting.
So moved. Second.
Stephen Blair has made a motion to approve the minutes. And Devon N. Aguilera
Iguodala.
has seconded the motion. Any discussion? We'll continue with the vote. All in favor of approval of the minutes, state so by saying aye.
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 Anyone approved, say so by saying nay. The approval of the minutes of June 23rd, 2020 meeting is approved. Ladies and gentlemen, during the board's last meeting, there were close to, I would say, maybe 100 individuals from the public in attendance, which is great, which is what we applaud. However, it was somewhat difficult to hold this meeting knowing that each meeting only increases the potential spread of COVID, and the difficulties on city staff in conducting a virtual meeting. So this board appreciates all the hard work and time city staff have put into making this meeting possible. At the last meeting, the public comment portion lasted approximately 3 hours, and the board was not able to get to the items on the agenda. Many of the speakers spoke numerous times and failed to obey the established time limit. In order to ensure this meeting is conducted in accordance with the policies and procedures I am announcing as chair, I will strictly enforce the following rules for the benefit of ensuring an orderly and professional meeting. I am requesting the board not address public comment until the end of public comment. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes at the kiosk. Speakers will line up practicing social distancing and wearing masks. Speakers will speak when directed and stop when their time is up at the 3-minute mark, which will be indicated by a buzzer. Speakers should not leave the kiosk when their time is up to allow the next person to speak. As required by policy, speakers will announce their full name and address. This is for the benefit of the clerk who is taking minutes. Speakers must use professional business-like decorum. This means profanity is not allowed. That should be without saying. Speakers should act as if they are in a business meeting. Yelling and screaming is not appropriate. Speakers may only speak once. Speakers may not yield their time. Comments should be limited to matters related to the Tampa Police Department. Comments should not be made regarding ongoing professional standard cases. Comments should not be made regarding ongoing professional standard cases, and comments should also be directed to the board as a whole, not as an individual member. No one should speak without being recognized. Yelling and outbursts from the crowd is also considered inappropriate. No one should disrupt the meeting or interfere with the process of the meeting. As chair, I will advise anyone who fails to follow these rules that they are out of order. I will ask the microphone to be turned off at the kiosk should anyone violate any of the rules of this meeting while at the kiosk. If the inappropriate behavior continues, I will call for a recess, and the board will adjourn for 10 minutes or as I determine necessary. Upon return, if the appropriate behavior continues, I will adjourn the meeting for the evening, and the meeting will be rescheduled for a later date. As chair, I can assure you that this board wants to hear from the public. However, as chair, I have the duty and responsibility of ensuring this meeting is held in a professional and business-like manner. This board is meant to provide dialogue between the citizens and Tampa Police Department in a professional setting. Those who take this opportunity to make an unprofessional comment or act in a manner to disrupt the proceedings will only lead to the meeting being canceled, and no one benefits from that. I look forward to a professional meeting where people's voices can be heard. With that being said, let's continue with the agenda, moving on to the public comment portion. At this time, we will go to the speakers who are lined up at the kiosk for public comment. Please state your name and address. The clerk will start the timer for the speakers. I will now ask whether there were any.
Am I on?
Yes, you're on.
Okay.
Please state your name. Please state your name and address for the clerk.
Richard Guerrero, 33612 is my zip code. Say, man, number one, y'all ain't got no way to contact y'all on here, okay? This is today's agenda, okay? That's how scared y'all are to really hear what people got to say. Number two, we got problems. We can't get down and file any complaints in a proper manner. We go down and talk to internal affairs, and we don't have they don't even want to deal with us. Multiple people, you know? When are y'all going to act like big people and let us, we the people, file our complaints? Why is it we have problems with internal affairs doing their job? You know, children are back in school, but all the diaper wearers, you know, are getting a paycheck every week, and they ain't doing nothing to earn it. You know, they violate our rights, but they're not being held accountable. And this needs to be addressed. So with that, you know, it'd really be nice to have a way to communicate with y'all, but y'all don't even put a way to do that on this agenda, this itinerary for the day. You know, you got the American with Disabilities Act, you know, but you ain't got no way to contact y'all with our complaint. So with that, I yield.
Thank you, sir. Please state your name and address for the city clerk.
Hi, my name is Madison Lambert. I live at 111 Bikini Bottom Drive. And I want to start by saying that the Citizens Review Board has not had an in-person meeting since June, yet you all conveniently forgot to let the public know about this one a week after the Tampa Police Department brutally murdered Dominic Mulkey for stealing a bag of chips and some Cheez-Its. Jane Castor and the police department love to pretend like transparency is at the forefront of y'all's politics, but how can you say that when you're not even transparent about a meeting, a public forum where people are meant to voice their opinions and y'all don't even let people know? I know people that would have done the public comment beforehand had they known it existed, but they told us the day of. I mean, 2 members aren't even there, 2 chairmen didn't show up. I wonder why, maybe because they didn't know. But anyways, I'm here to tell you that the Tampa Police Department are terrorists and that they have plenty of tear gas, rubber bullets, pepper balls, and even 1.5 million for new tasers, yet they still felt justified in unloading over 30 rounds into a man for the crime of being hungry. The family of Dominique said that he was hard of hearing, so there's a large possibility that he didn't hear or understand what the officers were saying when they were incoherently screaming at him, with no prior attempt at de-escalation. The video of his murder broadcast clear as day that the officers violated the 8-can't-wait policy that Castor and Dugan like to pretend will end systemic racism. It doesn't seem like they exhausted all their means when they immediately started firing at him a few seconds after he didn't comply. This proves that reforms are not enough. Even with having these policies in place, the police are still acting in accordance with how they are trained and how they are meant to, since they are merely extensions of slave patrols after all. Those police officers need to be fired. In any other job, if you mess up, you get fired. These people take lives and are protected by the law. You can't reform this. Are you of my time? Go.
Thank you for your comment. There is no yielding of time. Next. State your name and your address for the clerk, please. Thank you.
My name is Shipla. I stay at 9509 North Justice Circle, Tampa, Florida, 33647. Good to go?
Please continue.
All right. First of all, I want to thank you all for dropping this meeting only a couple hours before it started. No one knew about it. I see the City of Tampa social media accounts promote everything from Halloween events to random parks, but for some reason, you all can't publicize CRB's city council meetings to promote civic engagement, but we all know that's on purpose. Anyways, last time I was here to talk to you all, you thanked us for coming out and speaking. But what good is that if you still refuse to take any action or actually listen to our concerns? Just a week ago, a man was murdered by TPD. TPD chased him 5 blocks away from the store where they unloaded over 30 bullets on a single man. He was hard of hearing and there was not one shot fired by Dominique. Yet the police officers got multiple clips on him. Dominique stole a couple dollars worth of snacks from a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and TPD thought that warrant his life being taken away. Who is that serving? Who is that protecting? The police are not the judge, jury, and executioner. Committing a crime is not justification to kill a man. This entire case highlights the huge systemic issues within our society as a whole, specifically the institution of policing. The fact that in the middle of a pandemic, a man had to steal food just to put food on the table, while we as a city were somehow able to afford a $13 billion increase to CPD to one thing. You all in this city do not care about human lives or safety or community protection. And who will hold these officers accountable? Chief Dugan claims that because of Marcy's law, TPD won't release the names of the murderers. Meanwhile, anytime a citizen is charged with a crime, all of their information is blasted on social media along with their mugshot. But I guess the law doesn't apply to states. And plus, RC's law is supposed to protect victims. How the hell are 2 officers who killed a man of victims? And earlier this year, in PBA versus City of Tallahassee, Judge Dodson of the Second Circuit Court of Florida explicitly ruled that Marcy's law does not apply to law enforcement officers while acting in their official capacity. So there's absolutely no reason why Dugan should be allowed to shield these officers from public accountability. So will you all hold them accountable? The Citizens Review Board is supposed to represent the people of this community, not the cops. You all are supposed to have power back and serve as an oversight body to keep the police department in check. But historically, this body has consistently stood on the side of the most violent, oppressive, and brutal organization in Tampa, the police department. At this point, it's clear that the clowns over at City Council don't put up about us after they funded the bloated TPD budget. But I urge you, please take a stand against TPD and stand with us in demanding accountability, or else these pigs will continue to murder everyone in our city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, please state your name and address for the clerk.
My name is Viveka Sapaya, and I reside at 16102 Brecken Palms Place, Tampa, Florida, 33647. Can I continue?
Please continue.
All right. I'm here today, not planning to. I woke up this morning and I didn't realize that there was going to be a Citizens Review Board meeting today, but thanks to my fellow organizers and activists here in Tampa Bay, I was notified of this last-minute Citizens Review Board meeting, and I was able to show up today. But I want to tell you that although I reside at 33647, I'm very well aware of what's going on in Tampa, and I really like you guys to realize what is happening to our city. We cannot continue to ignore what happened to Dominic Mulkey. We have, I want you guys to release the names of the murderers because they killed Dominic Mulkey, and we know his name, and his name is the one that's on our tongues right now. But the real murderers, the people who need to be held accountable, the people who need to be having their names heard on the news and in social media are the murderers, the people who killed him, TPD. So please consider releasing the names of his murderers, and also realize that this is just one example of what's going on in Tampa. I work at the Spring of Tampa Bay, and I work with several other social services organizations in the Tampa Bay area, and I want you to realize that homelessness, the lack of food in our city is coming to a really, or it's growing every single day. Every single day on the hotline, we can hear people calling in not for shelter, but just for basic needs like food. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and Dominic Mulkey and his need for food is just one example of what people are going through every day in zip codes like 33610, 33612, 33613. We're all here comfortable, and I'm able to speak to you, but there's so many people who aren't able to speak to you right now and tell you what they need. So we're here today thinking about those people who can't be here. And I beg of you, please, think about people like Dominic Mulkey who didn't deserve to die for the basic need of food. And think about your city. And please don't let Tampa Bay become like this. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Jay Passmore. My address is 18918 H-E-I-A-N Way, Lutz, Florida, 33558. Oh, that's Chief Dugan's address. My bad. The main reason why I'm coming here today is because I want the board to be embarrassed with yourselves. I want you to be extremely embarrassed that you sit on something called the Civilian Review Board, and a man was murdered by Tampa police last week, and none of you have done what was needed to bring the community out here to air their grievances, concerns, and heartbreak to you. Now, the chairman stated that this board is supposed to be a professional way in which citizens and the police department can communicate. So what was your portion of reaching out to the community so they could tell you what they thought about it? Over 30 shots. Last week, we marched the last step that Dominique took. We walked in his shoes with his family. There were still bullet fragments in the gate behind him in which he was shot. I'm not here to ask you to release names because I know you don't have that power. You don't have any power. And you should be embarrassed about that. You should be embarrassed that you sit on a do-nothing board. The least you could do was public outreach. Y'all should be very embarrassed with yourselves. You should be embarrassed that Police Chief Dugan already rushed to demonize this man who was hard of hearing and had mental illness. When for the whole summer, activists pleaded with the city and told them there are alternatives to provide people with mental crisis help. $2 million is what we asked for out of $13 million. They said, nope. by Tampa police. Is this just something to put on your resume to say that you did something? If that's the case, cool. But this board is doing nothing. For a whole summer, I have been brutalized by Tampa police. I've suffered 2 concussions in a span of 2 months by TPD. One of the concussions in this very convention center. What are y'all doing? How about you get your asses up and go to a protest and see how they're treating people who exercise their First Amendment? And see how they're hitting people with their bicycles, how they're elbowing people in the stomach, how they're pushing people over, running people's feet over, pushing people in the street. Go look at that and then see how your board that has no authority, no teeth, no anything, is just another measure of Mayor Casher to make herself feel good and pat herself on the back. When George Floyd died, she got on national news and said, oh, what happened to George Floyd is horrible. That police department is horrible. She's on a national mayor task force for police transparency. What has that lady said about Dominique, her family? I went to a vigil and had to watch Dominique's mother cry and say she blamed herself. I blame the city of Tampa, and I blame y'all because y'all not stepping up.
Thank you.
All right, good evening. My name is Alicia. I reside in zip code 33559. The last time that I was here, we had over 3 hours of public comment. I assure you that probably could have happened if we didn't get notification within hours. So everything that's already been said, I'm not going to reiterate it. You're going to hear it again. What I strongly want to push up to you guys is, like Jay just said, you guys don't have any power. What I need and what I am demanding as a citizen of Tampa is for you guys to get subpoena power. However means you need to do it, you need to get it. Because not just with Dominique Mulkey, in the event of Jonas Joseph, whose family still has not received answers nor justice, TPD thought it was necessary to unload 125 rounds towards this man, and they claim no dash cam footage exists. There are witness statements that go against what TPD claims. And we're expected to take TPD's word for it. And that's what happens when there's lack of accountability, lack of transparency. We need accountability and we need transparency. And the first step to that is giving the Citizens Subpoena Board subpoena power. I won't reiterate. The purpose of this meeting was to address the use of force. With the use of force in Tampa Police Department under Chief Dugan, it has increased. That's already been stated through the protest. Myself, I've also been, without provocation, use of the chemical agents. That has increased by over 224% in the past 15 years. I'm just going to reiterate again, you guys need subpoena power. You guys need an independent investigative panel for investigations. The CRB should be able to conduct an independent, separate from Tampa Police Department, and thorough background check on potential new hires. You guys should be able to actively be involved in investigations prior to them closing. I know that was something you guys stated last time. Oh, we can do that after it closes. No, it needs to be before a case closes. That's really all I have to say. I know others will say more and say it better. But again, please push for you guys to get subpoena power if you guys need it, because otherwise you're a do-nothing board, just as Jay said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Bree Johnson, and I was here at the last meeting where there was over 3 hours of public comment, and I'm not going to touch on things that have already been touched on. I'm going to speak as someone who was recently victimized by TPD. So Saturday, well, at that time it's Sunday, at 1:11 in the morning, I was standing at the corner in Ybor, not at a protest, not yelling at anybody, just there with my friends to have a good time. I see a man being thrown out of a club and there's like 9 people on him, right? So when he gets outside, there's TPD officers who go and jump on him, and there's so many people to get this one man to the ground. So with everything going on, I go and I stand in the sidewalk piece closest to the street to record what happens. I have the footage. Not at any point did I yell at the police. Not at any point did I voice my opinion as to what was going on. Nothing like that. Those police officers never addressed me. I never addressed them. So as I'm standing there at the sidewalk closest to the street with my friend, as well as other people who are watching the same thing I feel somebody pull on my arm and say, move. I naturally yank away because I don't know, you don't put your hands on me. I say, don't put your effing hands on me. Period, point blank, don't touch me. Then the police officer wants to still say, I said, back the F up. I said, I'll do that, don't put your hands on me. You don't have the right to put your hands on me. This cop then looks me dead in my face and says, BITCH you, and pushes me. So I say, oh, this is what we're doing. You're really gonna put your hands on me after I just said, don't put your hands on me. He pushes me again. This time I end up in the street, in the middle of the street. That's how I was standing so close to the street. Not at any point did any of these officers address me and say, you need to back up, you need to do this, that, or the third. I have that footage. So as I'm pushed into the street, another cop comes up to me and grabs me by the back of my arm and says, that's it, you're going to jail. I naturally say, what am I going to jail for? He says, your mouth. I said, it is my First Amendment right to the freedom of speech. I can say whatever I want to say, and I'm not even interfering with anything that you're doing. As I'm getting arrested and being taken to the cruiser, I'm asking him, what am I being arrested for? What are my charges? He then replies to me and says, keep talking and I'm going to add more charges. So I'm placed in the back of a vehicle. I'm sitting there handcuffed in the middle of the street wondering, wow, how did I get myself in this position? I didn't. TPD did it to me once again. I'm sitting in the back. One officer comes to me. He's getting on my name and information, the kindest, how a cop should be. Protect and serve, right? Apologizing to me for how I was treated by other officers. So I get then a citation, right? That's what it all came down to. Ma'am, you're not going to jail tonight. We're just going to give you a citation. So they give me this citation, which the officer's name at the bottom, who's listed, is not even the officer who put his hands on me. I have his face as well as his badge number recorded. This is false because he's not the one who issued this. Second of all, the cop who wrote this just pulled his cruiser up. He did not see anything that transpired. That's number two. How are you going to write a document that you didn't even witness yourself? Number three, I get trespassed from the Ritz for 365 days, which is no problem because I don't go there. I wasn't there, nor have I set foot in there that whole night. So they had to use this piece of paper as a justification to try to give some order to me about how I deserved everything that just happened. I'm tired of TPD being able to do whatever they want to do with no accountability. I'm tired of citizens being brutalized. You tell us to stop protesting, okay. Protesters still get targeted outside of the street, outside of the protest. So what are you guys gonna do? The last time we were here, we said if things continue, there's gonna be a dead body on TPD's hands. And as you can see last week, look what happened. I'm not asking for no, oh, pity, you feel bad for me. I don't care. I'm not here for that. I just want y'all to be able to hold these police accountable like y'all say y'all can. Period. Point blank. And I have the bruises.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Morgan, and I'm coming from the zip code of 33626. And, well, okay, as we all know, a common theme that has consistently been brought up, not only today, but the meeting back in June, which was 4 months ago, is accountability and transparency, and yet there has been no improvement. There has been no, you guys haven't given us anything. There has been no changes. Like, I don't understand what is not sitting, because the Citizens Review Board needs to have the ability to conduct independent investigations into police infractions and misconduct. This would ensure that citizens can be confident that their voices are being heard and removes the implication of bias and corrupt practices. Facilitating a transparent relationship between the Professional Standards Bureau, the TPD, and the citizens they represent would serve to boost confidence among the people. However, there is a huge lack, in fact, zero transparency and major discrepancies between the truth and what is reported by the police. You can understand how police investigating police infractions is unreliable in and of itself because it leans towards conclusions of favoritism and bias. As much as TPD loves to boast online at tampabaygov.net about their strong commitment to the fair treatment of all citizens, their actions, efforts, and policies prove them to be anything but dedicated to fairness and equality. An independent review board comprised of unbiased members that are unaffiliated with the TPD would foster more trust and establish more credibility between the TPD and the people. One of the major points of a democratic system is the ability for different institutions that are governed by the people and for the people to check up on and balance out each other. The police department of Tampa, and this is said time and time again, has zero accountability. And it's honestly pathetic. It's sad. Like, you are an institution that gets millions of dollars and you can't just be transparent to the people who you're representing to trust and serve, or to protect and serve. They cover up their mistakes with lies and always fail to investigate and report the truth, which is their one job that they are failing at repeatedly, time and time again. The police are failing at doing their jobs. The department is failing at holding them accountable, and you are all failing at doing something about it. So please, stop failing and just do something, because you haven't for the past 4 months when this room was full. Instead, this time you just shoved us out into the hallway so you wouldn't have to look at us face to face. Like, that's just as unpathetic, but I yield my time even though I can't.
Thank you. Please state your name and address for the clerk.
Corey Brown, 33617. That's my company. So,
I'm sorry. Please state your name and the address for the clerk.
what if I don't have an address? Okay.
Was there
so
any of that?
here's the issue. Someone was murdered by the Tampa Bay Police
Was there any
Department
get that?
after redistributing food in an effort to stay alive. That's what we have happening in the city of Tampa. And I need everyone to wrap their heads around the fact that, according to, what is this? The Sun, I'll pull it up. The Sun Centennial, applications for the week ended on October 10th for unemployment claims. And it was up by 2,489 applications the week before. I'm mentioning this to you because people don't have incomes. People don't have jobs. The government isn't doing anything for us. The city isn't doing anything for us. And for the officers to decide that they were going to take somebody's life over a bag of chips and Cheez-Its, that's a problem to me. Because that could have been anybody who was in need. Instead of you all deciding to put money into programs that will help our communities, you've decided to take people away from our communities, out of our communities. Not only did you take somebody's life, you messed up a family, you shot up 3 homes and endangered people's lives, and you think that doesn't warrant any type of reaction from our community. That's mind-boggling to me. Imagine if that was your child, or that was your friend who was in need and wasn't getting the help that they needed. Like, I just want us to understand that there are bigger implications for every single action. You, again, did not just take one life. You have altered the life of many. And so you all, as a Citizens Review Board, especially those of you who are people of color, Black in particular, I know you all understand, but there's no action. That's the problem. So we've been doing this for months. People have been doing this for years, really, this work. And there's been no change, none. And so what we're asking for is transparency. What we're asking for is for the budget for the police department to be mitigated, to be decreased by at least 13%, a freeze on all new hires. What we're asking for is for justice for the family of Dominique Milkey, to be very clear that their needs need to be prioritized in this moment. That's what we're asking for. And the fact that people have come into here and it seems like people aren't paying attention, even before we had this virtual type thing, when we were in there to begin with, it felt like people weren't paying attention. And that hurts, because this is affecting us and it could be affecting you. Maybe it's not, but it doesn't matter, because you're supposed to be representing people. So I'm not here to spit facts and details, because this is a matter of morality. And if the city of Tampa chooses to be morally ignorant, that is something that they have to live with for the rest of their lives. Dominique's blood is on all of your hands. I don't care. Every single one of you
I hope you see his face every single night before you go to bed, and I hope it never leaves your mind.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Vasia Kishina from area code 33624. I just want to make a few comments starting off with the first one. We've been protesting for quite a few months now. And with protesting, you would think that there would come some change, and unfortunately, we haven't been able to see any of that. I initially started it because we did want justice. We still haven't received that justice. In the midst, people have been injured not only while protesting, but continuing to being killed by the police task force who is sworn in to protect and to serve. And at this point, I think we're looking for more than answers. We need actions. And hopefully those actions don't take another 4 months to happen, because what's happening right now is these problems are still not solved. People are still angry. And we're going through not only a pandemic, but also a mental health crisis pandemic. And these people really do need mental health set aside. So with budgeting cuts, what a lot of people are asking for is that we do put some of this money aside moving forward to any kind of mental health medical needs that people might have, such as therapists, maybe people that will train the police task force to possibly handle situations differently before resulting to violence. So we're just asking that you take all our comments into consideration today, and hopefully there will be a change. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tatiana Morales, and I live at 3102 Grand Pavilion Drive, 33613, Tampa, Florida. So I wanted to come here to talk about what's happened in our city. In our city, our officers are consistently abusing our citizens whenever they're exercising their right to speak, but they're also abusing our citizens when that isn't happening, when they're going through the rounds in our neighborhoods, when they're coming around and shooting at sidewalks in the streets for a kid getting chips. When policies like 8 can't wait don't work, because they don't work. We're seeing it right now. Everything that has been done in this city, everything that we propose to do to create meaningful change has not been looked at, has not been addressed. All our concerns and our demands have constantly been thrown away. And you see what happens? A young boy with an intellectual disability gets killed outside a Dollar Tree. We saw the shots through the fence where one of the neighbors had a heart attack because of how scary that is. Imagine gunshots going through doors, fence. Imagine your family sitting at home wondering, hey, what's going on? Oh yeah, they just killed a kid that couldn't hear because they couldn't take a moment to back up and think, what's the best thing to do in this moment? This is why your job as representatives of our community is to recommend so much change and radical change to this meeting. Over 12 cities in this community, in this country, have demanded for defunding the police and reallocating resources. I'm demanding more than that, because we keep seeing kids die and die and die. This is for Jonas, this is for Josiah, this is for Kai, this is for everyone that has had their blood on these city streets. And by all of you hearing what we're saying, you need to do better. You are our connection to the Tampa Police Department in a way that they won't kill us. Because I go to TPD, they'll shoot me in the head. I'm another black kid, I don't matter. But you are the ones in charge. You are the ones that can make these recommendations that they might listen to. Demanding subpoena power, demanding the firing of Chief Dugan, demanding better requirements for accountability, because there is no accountability. There has never been accountability, and you all know this. You all know better and need to do better. And when you're saying to emphasize professionality and things that should be better, where's your professionality? Because if you were a professional that did your job, you wouldn't be dead. And I need you all to take that seriously, because this won't be the last one if there's a change. There's going to be another kid that is starving, that is hungry, that needs better resources, and needs better. I've never seen any of you at a protest. I've never seen any of your faces. I've been protesting every single week. I've been protesting for years in different locations. And I see other cities that care less, do more. So what you need to do is to care more and do more, because it's going to be your family and your kid that's next that gets killed. Because police don't care. They don't discriminate because they're not incentivized to. They've never been incentivized to. They go around to every protest covering their badges, covering their numbers, showing that they're not actually a citizen. They hide their identity, but we can't. I can't hide being black. Yup. And it's interesting how you're, like, part of the recommendations that have to be done is what are people that are going to jail, that are going for short time because their trials haven't happened? And all the thing is how people are being held in close quarters because there's the COVID pandemic that you're all clearly aware of. So you all need to do better for our city. You need to do better for our citizens. You need to demand radical change because radical change is what would have saved Dominique's life. I'll thank you all.
Thank you. Is there any other commentary from the kiosk? Okay, so that concludes the kiosk commentary. Thank you for your comments. We will continue. I will now ask whether there were any recorded comments received through voicemail set up for this meeting.
Chair, Mike Schmidt, there were no recorded comments received as of earlier this afternoon.
Thank you, sir. I will now ask if the clerk received any written comments.
No written comments.
Madam Clerk states there's no written comments. Thank you. That's going to conclude the public comment portion of our meeting. The chair has not set any review investigations for this agenda, as we have other matters the board wanted to address. We'll now move on to the community and Tampa Police Department matters.
Mr. Chairman.
Of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr.
Tamayo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There were a few comments made by the citizens about the relative lack of notice of this meeting. Could we, for the record, just indicate what public notice was provided and when?
Yes, sir. If you will, Mike Schmidt, if you can share with us.
Mike Schmidt. The clerk posted approximately, I believe it was 10 days ago, on the city calendar, the notice that this meeting was being held for tonight. In addition, there was notices placed at City Hall soon after it was placed on the city calendar. I don't know the exact date, but I do know that in addition, the third place it was posted was on the TPD website on the 20th. It was posted. It shows that it was posted on the 20th. Right on the public website for Tampa Police Department, there is on the left side, Citizen Review Board. You click on to the agenda and it shows that the agenda was posted on the 20th for tonight's meeting, announcing the third way that this meeting was announced.
Mr. Schmidt, was that any different than the type of notice that was posted before the June 23rd meeting? Was that procedure
No,
any different?
No, sir. That's how these meetings are posted in those three manners, those three ways.
Thank you.
Dr. Collins.
Mr. Smith.
Mike Smith, you can remain at the podium. I think there's a few more questions.
Just one.
Dr. Collins.
A follow-up on the question from the previous one. Is this way that the meetings were noted consistent with the way we've always noticed the meeting? It was the same consistent notice?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I mean, I would say that due to the fact that this was sort of a hybrid meeting and getting all the needing to explain how it was going to be recorded and written comments and how we were going to do it here, I think typically we try to get it posted on the TPD website I think the June 23rd meeting shows it was posted June 12th, so that was about 11 days. This one was posted 7 days, but as I said, it was posted 10 days on the city clerk's calendar, so as well as at City Hall. So it's the way we've always posted these meetings. So I'm not sure. Sometimes social media may pick these meetings up and get distributing through their own public social media, might catch on or see that the meeting is happening. This one, I guess that just wasn't happening until somebody personal social media saw it and started posting it today, and I think I'm guessing that's what the comments were about, that they didn't see it on the public social media sites that they were posting.
In addition, I'd like to add that there obviously during these times where we are in a state of emergency due to the pandemic, there was a lot of additional effort put into having this meeting today. So again, the city staff being available, what you see put together here today didn't just come overnight. There was a lot of effort put into this to have this meeting, to be able to address such issues and be able to listen to some of the concerns of our community. So let's keep that in mind as well. Thank you. Thank you, Mike Schmidt. As this meeting was originally scheduled for March and then June, the board still needs to see if there are any questions concerning the 2019 CRB annual report. I would ask for a motion approving the 2019 CRB report and ask Detective Katie Tenassis with professional standards to come forward for any questions of the board. Thank you, Detective Katie.
I'm Detective Katie Thanasis. Just need to know if you guys approved the 2019 Review Board report, and I'm here for any questions you may have.
Mr. Chairman, I have one question on
If you will, Stephen Blair.
On the bottom of page 3, it references formal and formal required by policy number totals that don't make sense.
On page 3 of the annual report?
Yes.
Can you speak up a little bit? I heard the numbers don't make sense.
Yes, on the bottom of page 3 of the annual report, it totals the formal disposition findings of 27, but the numbers don't add up to 27. I'm just wondering.
I think we're looking at two different things. My page 3 has board finding and recommendations at the bottom for a specific case and a disposition.
The 2019 annual report?
Yes.
The copy I was provided has, this is page 3.
Okay, I'm sorry. What was the question? I see the numbers that you circled, 27 and 9.
They don't add up.
Okay, I haven't seen this report, so I'll have to get back to you on that. It looks like it may have just been a miscalculation by who made the report.
Is this the annual report that we're asked to approve?
This is not the annual report, what you just handed me. This is specific to formal and formal required by policy cases investigated by each division. It's not part of the 2019 annual report. I can bring you my copy of it if you'd like to look at it.
I'm not prepared to review a document or approve a document that I haven't seen. And
This was provided prior to the June meeting.
This is the report I was given at the June meeting.
Stephen Blair has presented a concern. With that concern, we need to look into that matter a little further. Is there any other questions besides Stephen Blair concern in reference to the 2019 annual CRB report to address to Detective Katie Tenassis?
You're not asking us to approve it in lieu of what Stephen said? Is that correct?
We can continue with the vote. However, you can take in consideration of the findings of Board Member Stephen Blair.
I recommend that we just defer to the next meeting.
The chair is still open to a motion.
Is it possible we can defer that to the next meeting, find the answer to his question, and we re-review the annual report? Because I thought I had mine here and I do not have it. And I don't want to make a motion for something that we don't have.
With no motion on the floor, then we...
That was the suggestion, so I'm going to make a motion that we I make a motion that we refer the annual report to the next meeting.
Second.
Dr. Collins has made a motion to deter the 2019 CRB annual report for approval for the next scheduled meeting. Stephen Blair has seconded the motion. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay. The motion is approved to deter the approval of the 2019 CRB report after additional findings in reference to the concern of Stephen Blair, which will be discussed on the next scheduled meeting. And the next scheduled meeting will be stated during the announcements for staff portion of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, since the motion has passed and we're making reference to the 2019 annual report, and the reason I went along with Stephen's concern is I don't see that at the bottom of page 3, and so we need to make sure that we're all looking at the same thing. So I'm looking at the annual report for 2019, and I don't see that at the bottom of page 3. What he was asking, so I thought it would be best that we get some clarity on it. So I don't see those numbers, unless I'm looking at the wrong report.
It looks like the piece of paper that he's referencing is on the Professional Standards Bureau annual report, not the Citizens Review Board annual report.
Please make note. Can we concur?
Yeah, I concur, and even if a copy of it go back out again, so we're all looking at the same report for next meeting. Can you hear me?
Yes,
I'm saying
ma'am.
if we can make sure that a copy of this is sent out so that we're all
Yes.
making reference to the same document for
Yes.
the next meeting.
Considering recent events, this board requested to hear matters